Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Full Fat Spoiler Chat. You can't see my fingers when they're off the. There we go. The show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, talk about a recent piece of nerdy entertainment, and we talk about it in depth about what's good, what's bad, what we like, what we didn't, themes and messages if they apply, and therefore usually we have to spoil the show to get into what those things are. Now, I'll say what we're doing tonight is the new Netflix animated series, The Cuphead Show. And realistically, you can't really spoil it. I mean, I guess you could. We could spoil.
There's no plot, really.
Yeah, I mean, there is kind of a plot, and we'll talk about that because it's teased right in the all the trailers. Um, yeah, there isn't much of a plot, and there's a kind of a cliffhanger ending, and we won't. I'm going to say I'm not going to talk about the specifics of the cliffhanger. Again, not that it really matters, but that would be about the only thing that you could say. Oh my God, you spoiled that for me. Other than if we spoiled any of the like comedy bits that are based on some action building up to a comedy bit. I doubt that we're even going to talk about any of that stuff, or at least in that kind of detail. So, I'm Rodney Brown, the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter on Facebook and Instagram, Burley_adopter on Twitter. Joining me tonight is the Fedora-enabled, so that we call you Hathead. Anyway, Byron, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Byron McNeil, contributing writer, social media expert at this point, and content creator for Nerd Caliber. I also do a little bit of art on the side. I got a web comic series on Webtoons called Sisterhoods, and I got 4 episodes up. Working on episode 5. Actually, did a little bit today. A Little Red Riding Hood inspired story. I'm pretty proud of it. You should check it out. 2 words: Sisterhoods.
Sisterhoods. Go check it out, folks. Webtoons. Um, so before we get into the description of what this is all about, which is where we start most of these shows, Foxy B, welcome to the show on YouTube. And again, if you haven't seen the show, you probably want to wait until you've seen it before you see this. But again, we're not going to get into any kind of deep spoilers because the show doesn't really warrant that. So what is the Cuphead Show? It is a 12 short episodes animated series on Netflix that is based on the game, the 2017 game Cuphead by Studio
Which is hard as hell.
which is very challenging from what I hear. I haven't played it. By Studio MDHR, Canadian indie studio, which is also, along with the animation, which emulates the game, has a design aesthetic that very closely emulates the old Fleischer Studios, Max
Yes.
Fleischer and Dave Fleischer cartoons from the 1930s and into the 1940s. So, because this is such an important part of the look and the overall aesthetic of both, well, yeah, the design, but even thematically, at least the game. We'll get into whether or not that's true in the show as much. I'm going to talk a little bit about Fleischer Studios and what they produced. We'll start with, so the game focuses on, the game does too, but the animated series focuses on Cuphead, who's here on your screen in the red, and his brother Mugman in the blue, and generally their adventures in the Inkwell Isles, mostly the overarching story plot that appears in maybe half the episodes and does certainly fill out the last 3, I guess, is their struggle with none other than the devil, like the
Old
actual devil.
Scratch.
Old Scratch, Mr. D. And
Beelzebub.
that's exactly who you're seeing there. The influence for this look comes from, like I said, Fleischer Studios, who made their bank on things like Betty Boop, which is, you see here, and you can see the
Popeye.
influence. Well, yeah, so Bimbo the dog, which is also right there. But yeah, I didn't realize, or I guess I had forgotten, that they also did Popeye. And Popeye was their most successful cartoon in 1936 in a popularity poll, beating out every Disney cartoon. So,
Fun bit of trivia: Popeye actually got his start in a Betty Boop cartoon.
and there was an awful lot of crossover with these. So they also did a Coco the Clown, and all of them had appearances in everybody else's. The only one that didn't, as far as I know, and that's because it doesn't make any sense for it to do, is Fleischer Studios did the original 1941 Superman animated
I
shorts,
do remember that.
which won an Academy Award. So, you know, at their height in 1939, Fleischer Studios employed 800 people, which just
The
blows my
animation
mind.
still holds up for that series too.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the animation is fantastic. Max Fleischer invented rotoscoping, the idea of taking filmed footage of actors and then animating over their actual movement. I know they used it. I didn't realize that he invented it, but that is, that's something he invented.
Mm.
So the studio, the game studio, MDHR, decided they really wanted to emulate this particular both look and feel. So the early 1930s Fleischer Studio stuff is full of very adult innuendo, drug references. I mean, there are skeletons smoking joints. Straight up skeleton smoking joints. There's also a ton of racist stuff. It's the 1930s.
I was just about to bring that up. Actually, a whole ton of inherent racism.
Absolutely.
Even like, and at times they even got black content creators like Cab Calloway involved, Manny the Mucha.
So they did a series of video or audio, video music animation, essentially. A lot of which featured Betty Boop because she was a sort of jazz age dancer, and so they had Cab Calloway. They had an awful lot of black 1930s jazz musicians who wanted to have like a Betty Boop music video, have them animated into these music cartoons.
I was gonna say, actually, Betty Boop's like entire inception is deep seated in cultural appropriation.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, particularly you look at her. She is designed mostly, if you look at it, or at least as far as tone goes, skin tone and so on. She's presented as a white woman, but her hair is clearly influenced by the relaxed curl of jazz age women of the day,
or finger rolls.
Yep. Or working. Good point. Working girls. But as far as music, so they did Louis Armstrong, Don Redman, and Cab Calloway. They did 3 Cab Callaways. So despite the fact that yes, there was a great deal of completely inappropriate racial stereotype depictions in their cartoons, they are also incredibly subversive, or what we would call these days subversive. It wasn't subversive then because it was before the Hays Code. And 1936 rolled around, and the Hays Code was established, and suddenly you couldn't do all of this adult or even adult innuendo stuff in movies or cartoons that were shown before movies in movie theaters. And they pivoted, which is why Popeye became such a big hit for them, and some of their other stuff. But if you go back and you try to find some of that stuff before the Hays Code, and it's...
Good luck.
Well, 1, good luck, but 2, it's trippy as hell.
Yes, it is.
And that's what Studio MDHR wanted to emulate in addition to the look. They wanted that really edgy, at times very dark, comic feel to the early Fleischer Studios cartoons.
And that definitely shows in the story of the game.
Yes. Um, I haven't played the game, so I don't know the story fully. But I don't. Let's not get into that. But yes, it is very much as one of the brothers of the studio said. Fleischer Studios was, quote, the magnetic north of his art style, and particularly sought to mimic its subversive and surrealist elements.
Yes.
So that's what we got. 2019, they announced that there would be this series, and it dropped February 18th of this year. COVID. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, they can crank the stuff out pretty quickly because it's really creative, obviously digital work, but it doesn't look even remotely like digital work. Or at least the compositing and the backgrounds are clearly digital. But again, it's all beautifully painted artwork. So, with that said, let's get into the stuff that we talk about the goods and the bads. So, Byron, what did you like about the Cuphead show? What worked for you? What did you think that they shot for and actually hit?
Well, first things first, I enjoy the the voice acting direction was pretty solid.
Yep.
A lot of it was like still like mainstays in the voice acting industry, and you also had a few celebrity voices like Wayne Brady as King Dice.
Yep.
Which was he was my favorite because he brought in the energy of like a cartoon villain with his performance.
Right. And of course they got somebody who is in fact a game show host.
Yes.
In one of his jobs, and that's what King Dice is on your screen right now. And he can sing. So when he was doing a pretty decent send-up of Cab Calloway, now
I love that.
That's important. I guess that is kind of a spoiler, but it's kind of a spoiler that makes you want to look forward to it. Doesn't give anything away. So yeah, but yeah, the two main characters. So True Valentino is Cuphead, and Frank Todaro is Mugman. True Valentino, Spidey and his amazing friends, Madagascar, A Little Wild, a bunch of stuff, that you've seen. He also is apparently now doing some live action acting as well.
I know that I just heard that Mugman's voice is been doing a bunch of cool projects as well.
Yeah, so he is Draluk in the English dub of The Vampire Dies in No Time. He's done a ton of English dub anime. That seems to be his strong point. He was Salmon in Fina Pirate Princess. He was the narrator in Sonny Boy. He did a good job, even though I didn't particularly care for the cartoons. He was Starscream in the trilogy Transformers: War for Cybertron.
Oh wow!
We reviewed two of them. We didn't review the third, which tells you how good they are. But he was generally, it's called here, additional voices and butler machine in Eden Zero. So yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. Some stuff which is pretty important, like he's the voice of Leif in Vinland Saga.
Wow, which is if you love period pieces and anime,
yeah, Vinland Saga is definitely something you should be watching. But yeah, so go on. So voice acting, yeah.
Voice acting. I mean, the animation kind of goes without saying. Like,
yeah,
they like I'm not sure who animated this, but they got that entire rubber hose style down to a T.
It is. I don't know. But yes, the animation is fantastic. So keep going. I'm going to keep looking for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Great use of the rubber hose technique, which you don't see see a lot in modern day animation, which is a shame. But I get it. It takes a lot more work to get those flailing and extended movements down. Um,
Yeah, well, I think there's actually an industry term for that: rubber hose animation. And I
yes.
had no idea. It's like, oh, all right, that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah, it's a big it was a bigger deal back in the day, but it's cool. I like that it departed from the the plot of the games. Like you see, there are a lot of callbacks to the games, but it's not trying to retell the story.
Yes, because I think that might have been a problem.
Oh, absolutely. It's like why would you watch the cartoon when you can just play the game? It's a reimagining of like this world and these characters, but it also has the spirit of these games with the overarching narrative of Old Scratch.
So I finally found it. So Netflix Animation is technically the production company, but apparently they credit Lighthouse Studios.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Well, apparently they've done some stuff. Like they did some animation work for Legend of Korra. They did animation work for the Bob's Burgers movie. Um, duh, 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 duh. Not much else that they've got credited here, but they're a studio out of Kilkenny, Ireland.
Wow.
So good for them.
Well, I hope I get to see more stuff from them then.
Yes. Um, Other things that were
Um,
on the positives.
yes. Those are my big ones, honestly, because I mean, overall, it's a solid series. So,
All right, I'm going to agree. Absolutely, the voice acting, as you know, as Byron mentioned, you've got some kind of surprising, uh, uh, I guess, celebrity voice actors, that are celebrity voice actors, like Gray Griffin. Um,
yes,
I got to give a
I
call
could
out
listen to.
to the devil. So it's this. I'm going to use the term kid because this. I'm guessing he's early 20s. Luke Millington Drake, almost no credits whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah. Now, he is a regular cast member in the Groundlings Improv Studio in Los Angeles.
That's
So,
cool.
and he was born in England, but he has dual British U.S. citizenship, um, which is why in that first episode, he was channeling Tim Curry hard. And
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
but in a good way. Like you didn't ever think you were listening to Tim Curry, but there were times you went, "Oh, this guy listens to Tim Curry." And for somebody who's got like almost no credits of any kind, on his IMDb listing, he nailed it. He was great as the devil.
Yeah, I can definitely feel like that over the top villain energy.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, listening to the way he does that voice, you would think he was a 30 or 40 something Tim Curry instead
Mm.
of, some pretty boy at like 22 or however old he is. Um, so, yeah, but everybody else, I don't know Johanna's work. He doesn't have a photo even in IMDb, but
Wow.
he played Elder Kettle. Um,
I loved that performance, by the way.
a ton of stuff. Robot Chicken, Archer, a bunch of video games, Dishonored 2, Mafia 3. He's in the English dub of Cannon Busters.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's interesting, they didn't go with, like, when we were talking previously about Vox Machina is just chock full of
Voice acting
experienced voice
royalty.
actors. Yeah. And here they got clearly people with a great deal of experience and some complete newbies, but everybody just does a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, they're so talented.
And you're right. That's probably to some extent to the credit of the voice acting director. Um, yeah. So really good voice acting. Like you said, the animation is really solid. There was one moment where the background look changed, but I think that was because of the nature of because of how the animation changed.
Hmm.
Um, it's a cemetery scene, and they go from being afraid of a bunch of things in the cemetery to running, and the background artwork look kind of changed. It got brighter, but that's the only thing that really threw me off about the animation. Everything else is just solid, and fluid as heck. Um, Occasionally, with the eyes, you get a little bit of a more modern, like almost a Ren and Stimpy kind of look.
Yeah.
But even then, only in a few moments, but then it goes right back to it's like, all right, this is somebody dug up Max Fleischer's bones and made him make a cartoon, you know,
I like that.
which would be in keeping with. Um, let's see, what else did I like about it? I think that when the humor hits, it's at the very least amusing, and there were plenty of times when, like, I was kind of watching it and then just, oh, all right, they got one. Um, and so yeah, it can be very funny. I would say in general it runs along the that's pretty amusing line,
Hmm.
but with an occasional spike into okay, that was pretty creative. Um, and let's see, what else could I say that I really liked about it? Oh, the general structure of the episodes. I like the fact that they are 15 minutes. With Netflix, you can skip the intro and you can skip the credits, so they're realistically about
Yes.
12 and a half minutes long.
The music is pretty solid too. That's something I forgot to mention.
Yes, the music, actually, that is. And the songs, so there are songs in 4 or 5 episodes.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want to count them, but at least four.
Episode
Um,
12 had one that was
right.
probably a little, real bopper.
Yep. Episode 12 was good. The Devils in episode 1, some really good stuff.
King Dice was pretty good too.
Yes. I thought, I mean, Wayne Brady killed that one.
Oh
Um,
yes.
so the original songs were good, fun, enjoyable. Some of them real, like you said, real slappers. And yeah, the music was solid. And that's pretty much it. I think that sums up what the good was. So Byron, what didn't you like? What didn't work for you? What do you think they were going for and might have missed?
I only have a couple. First one would be like the leaning on the Brooklyn accents from from Muggsy and Cuphead.
Yep.
It's like I see what they were trying to go for, like kind of a Bugs Bunny vibe. They could have eased up on that. And also, I hate cliffhangers as a rule. Yeah, because it's just like it's such a lazy way to build suspense,
Yep.
and in this instance is no exception.
Yeah. Yeah, it does end on a cliffhanger, literally with a to be continued at the end. We know it will be continued. There are 3 more seasons coming. So
Hopefully, it
36.
doesn't take 2 years to get them out.
The next season drops in July.
Okay,
So we do know that they're going to be turning them out very quickly, or they were already working on them, whatever. But the next, and they will be dropped in blocks of 12. By
I
having
like
them
it.
at, you know, literally, if you skip everything that you can skip on Netflix, 12 and a half minutes, you can do this whole thing in about the length of a Marvel movie, about 2.5, 2 and 3/4
Yeah,
hours. Um, so,
just not in game.
yeah, well, yeah. Or 3.5 hours. Um, so, anything else, Byron, that you didn't care for?
Oh, that was really it for me.
Yeah. All right. I don't have a lot either that I didn't care for. but I gotta say that an awful lot of it didn't really thrill me either. Um,
That's fair.
it was an enjoyable watch that I have no need to watch again.
I feel that.
And I think that they missed some of what could be. So if the game was going for the creativity and surrealism and subversive nature of the Fleischer Studio cartoons, this cartoon doesn't. And to do that, they would actually have to change some of the traditional Fleischerisms. Like, when a ghost or a skeleton shows up, it looks like a Fleischer ghost or skeleton, and it does what a Fleischer ghost or skeleton does. And okay, well, we've seen that. And using that to make the humor makes it something worthy of a chuckle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's. I don't want to say bad. It's not bad. It is often amusingly mid, with occasional spikes of real creativity. The vegetable episode was really solid.
That was pretty hilarious, yes.
Yeah, and it was one of the funnier ones too.
And the payoff for that one was pretty good too.
Yes. Yeah, it had a good starting to hit towards that edgy stuff, but not quite. And that would be my only real complaint, is that they really filed off the edges of the Fleischer stuff and the game. Possibly to make it more appealing to a wider audience. That's
Which
fine.
is fair.
But I would have liked to have seen them go a little bit harder into the, let's actually get some stuff that people kind of go, ooh, oh, I'm surprised they did that. And not necessarily the sort of sexuality stuff of like Betty Boop and so on. I mean, I'm fine with that too, but even if it was just more of the edgier, surrealist humor.
I mean, they're probably going to say that for season 2 with the mermaid.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's hope, but I'd
love to see I'd love to see like a little bit of sexuality with the mermaid, just because
it could happen.
I want.
And I understand that they probably didn't want to go that route with Chalice. So Chalice is a game character who does appear in the show.
Yes.
Like I said, voiced by Gray Griffin, because she appears to be the same age as Cuphead and Mugman, and they are described always as the boys, and they're living with their caretaker, Elder Kettle. So the implication is they are teenagers or younger. And I can see why you wouldn't want to do that with Chalice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you've got a more mature character, by all means.
Although I did love the Easter egg towards that, like at the very end of the episode where she transforms into a ghost.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a little spoilery, but it doesn't, and it is spoiler chat.
It's in the game.
It's in the game. That's true.
Yes.
All right. So that's it for our likes and dislikes. Do you think this had anything like a theme?
Not really.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was kind of just like, kind of like in the name in the title of the first game, "Don't deal with the devil."
Right.
That was that, and it was kind of like that was like the overarching. I don't want to say theme, but like the overarching concept. It's like, kind of just in the spirit of the Fleischer brothers, like, be a good boy, don't do criminal, don't do bad.
I think that's a good summation of it. And to even expand on that or broaden it out a little bit, it's almost like have fun, but you've got to understand that you've got to be willing to accept the consequences.
Yes.
Whether it's having the fun that ultimately leads with a conflict with the devil, or having fun and breaking something of Elder Kettle's, and It's always, almost every episode is about doing something to excess and then having to accept the consequences of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. I agree. That's a theme. I think there is a tone. The tone is sort of irreverent humor, but really at the very lowest level of that.
Which is fair.
They're not shooting for any real targets here. You know, there's nobody's taking a pot shot at Putin or anything. Or masking
Give
or
it time.
any.
Give
Yeah.
it time.
So yeah, it is about sort of irreverent humor, but really nothing edgier than kids are going to see these days on Cartoon Network. So
Which is correct.
all right, so that wraps it up. Byron, would you recommend it to people? And where do you put it
Absolutely.
on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'll say a 4 out of 5.
Or 8 out of 10?
Yep.
Um,
Force a habit. Sorry.
that's okay. And I wouldn't put it that high. I would say it's probably a 6. Um, Mainly because I really think they missed the boat a lot by not having it edgier and therefore not having it as funny as it could be.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a personal taste thing. I'll go 7. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 because it is always consistently quality and it's always at least amusing. But I really think they could have made it regularly very funny, not just always amusing. All
Which
right,
is
folks.
fair.
On that note, before we get into promos for upcoming shows, let me let you know that we have a Patreon account. It is at patreon.com/nerdcaliber, which is the URL on your screen right now. Love to have you go check it out. Love to have you become a patron if you would like to. It will be used to help us generate more content. Along those lines, the first convention we will be at in 2022 is Wicked Comic-Con at the Westin in South Boston, the Westin waterfront. It is a one-day con. We are a vendor technically. We'll have a studio space set up. If you are familiar with the Westin from Aresia, we'll be in the hallway where Arisha's registration happens, right across from all the big ballrooms, all the way down at the end of that hallway where the door would open up onto Lawn D. And check us out there. Then at the end of April, PAX East. We will be at PAX East. We will have our cosplay and photography shootout panel again at PAX East, which this year will be, thank God, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. They gave us a wicked good time. It's in the Arachnid Theater, a big theater. So we're pleased with that. And we'll have a big
You have no idea how happy I am about that.
Yeah, we'll have a big team there. Byron will be there. I'll be there. Manny, Greg, all sorts of people that you know and love. Go. And let's see, what else? Oh, upcoming shows. So Monday is No Nerd Caliber. And this week it is our top 3 least favorite time travel stories in any nerd media. The reason we're doing that is, of course, Tuesday is Nerd Week Live, but then next Thursday, this show, Full Fat Spoiler Chat, will be about the, I think it drops tomorrow, as Byron pointed out earlier.
Yes.
The Ryan Reynolds time travel dramedy, the Atom Project.
So excited. It's in the next couple of days. I know that much.
I'm butchering your name, Forgotten, I think. But anyway, welcome to the show. We're just wrapping up, so unfortunately you've missed all of it. But we're promoting that we would be doing the Atom Project next Thursday. And made with Ryan Reynolds and this, I can't remember his name right now, Lewis, I think, something Lewis, who did Free Guy. If you haven't seen Free Guy, go watch it. It's amazing. Anyway, that's it, folks. Please be safe out there. And we will see you in an upcoming show or at an upcoming con. Yay. Byron, give us a goodbye.
All right, guys. Byron McNeil, aka Byron D Zero. Glad I got to talk about this awesome show with awesome people all around. um, check out my newest YouTube project, which is BD Zero Art. I am doing the whole drawing art channel thingy there.
Cool. BD0 Art. So BD0 spelled out?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome, folks. Do that. And we will see you at an upcoming show. Good night